What's up, everyone? We were just live, but we looked at the live clip and some of the audio was missing, or a lot of the audio was missing. So
it didn't like what we had to say, I guess.
they censored us live. Can you believe it?
Oh, do you think?
No.
Well,
What's
we're
that?
wondering what happened. Like, it lost all the audio.
Is that Hanlon's razor? It's like, don't attribute to malice what could easily be explained by
Logic?
like by just someone being dumb.
Oh, stupidity?
Yeah. And it's like, well, I think something just happened.
Don't you think sometimes, though, that would be the same?
For a channel?
If you remain not stupid, but unwilling to learn about something, and because of your mistakes, because you refuse to learn someone else, then isn't that malice?
Trung's in the house.
Woohoo!
What's up, Trung?
The original Tres.
He was our first. He was our first guest.
Yeah.
Oh, Trung, what is it? Like 20 seconds to
420 in Utah.
Salt Lake City 420.
Did you see what the? Was it their PD that was not doing so nice either?
Dude,
we should mark. No, there are some. I think there are some that have been showing that they're not like trying to start a war with their community.
That's what I'm saying.
Very few,
but
I think some of them are doing that. Otherwise,
yeah, the cops that did it right, they're the ones that came out on the side of the protesters. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy 420. Where's my DJ horn? If you are in the it's a mountain time zone.
yes.
Happy 420 to you. Also, Mexico City, is it there 420?
Yes.
Mexico City. Remember, cannabis is your coronavirus prophylactis.
Prophylactic. Yeah, you missed it. The audio went missing when you called it anaphylactic.
No,
What?
I think that would have been there. It was because that was towards the end.
Oh,
The audio was there at the end.
it came back?
Yeah, so it was
so
started.
weird.
A big chunk went missing.
Do you think they like knocked on something? No, the computer's over there.
Because yeah, I don't know if me or you did something, but it's okay. We caught it early enough where we can just record again. So to start our show today, there are thousands in the street of LA still protesting.
We should probably
left
reach
and
out
came
to some
back.
people in LA and make sure they're okay, huh?
I did.
Oh, are they? Are
Yeah.
they allowed? Do they have a strict curfew? It's so weird. How come we got such a strict curfew? 6 p.m. What street is this? What part of LA? Downtown?
Let's try to figure it out.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, they've got solar panels. What's that big warehouse? They're all solar paneled. Okay, so they're in the streets.
So this is what day is today? Tuesday? There are still thousands of people out, probably because we have like 40 million unemployed.
It will. It's going to be tough. Let me just try and show you everything here. So it's in the thousands for sure. Open up that a little bit, Jamie, and tilt up. And that'll give you the extent
Downtown?
of this line. Just
No. Okay, there's a Honda Honda dealer.
Santa Monica Boulevard. And
I wonder.
Santa Monica Boulevard. There's a lot of looting on Venice.
And we're going to go back up to Hollywood Boulevard. It's on the top.
Okay, so that was like one place.
Now just keep tilting up. Top your middle portion of your screen, right up in there. And there's the other group. And so you really get a sense of how
Oh my God.
people have turned out today.
It's like a parade.
It is in
It's
the
like-
thousands. I mean, I started to count earlier when people just got there and sort of got an idea what 100 looks like at a certain focal length on the helicopter.
How many people run a
We're
marathon?
able to sort of just estimate things.
These are like a few
Oh.
marathons going on at the same time.
I don't
Yeah.
know that it's 10,000,
There's a lot of people in
but it's
marathons.
more
But
than
that's like
1,000
all
people, that's for certain.
organized where the
We're shooting
routes are
the shot
closed
from
down
long
and
distance,
stuff.
open up a little
Well, I
bit.
guess it
These
kind
are
of
like
closed now.
impromptu marathons.
But, you know, that is a lot
Protests.
of people right there, and that's the larger grouping. And then what we showed you, that's Hollywood Boulevard. They're coming
Where is
west.
that? Oh,
Then
Hollywood
the smaller
Boulevard.
grouping, which is a large group as well, that was on Santa Monica Boulevard coming west, and they're probably about half a mile away from each other, I would say.
Did you see the picture of the White House when it turned out the lights? It looked
Yeah.
like a Halloween
Quickly.
special. I was like, at a time like this, y'all gonna turn out your lights?
Wow. They
This
look
is why
like
the
ants.
National Guard.
Well, I haven't seen much of that, Philip. You know, this group on Santa Monica Boulevard, I think, splintered off. I want to go
It was
back
like when the
north
lights
and
went
show
out in
you,
New York and all the
bigger
people came
crowd,
out
the
of the
larger crowd.
sub.
Just open up for a second and show them there, Jamie, that entire stretch. And as we move further north, what we're going to see here in a moment is the larger group of people that are marching westbound on Hollywood Boulevard. As they get closer to Highland, they're going to meet that skirmish line. They're going to meet that line that the LAPD has said, hey.
We didn't
we're
watch this the
holding
first time.
And so, as far
Did
as
we?
the movement of the
No.
LAPD,
Oh, I was like, oh my gosh, I was that high. I don't even remember us watching this.
I just downloaded this.
Except for to continue all the way
This is
down
happening now.
Hollywood Boulevard.
Today.
But
Yeah.
open up out of this shot. So this is the
That's
westbound
mine,
group of
and-
Philip on Hollywood Boulevard. And, you know, you really get a sense as you open
We
all
did
the way up here.
Cycle LA,
just how many
LA,
people have come in here. And
or during one of the parades. But
yeah, actually,
this is like
I
import.
got that wrong. And they came down a block south. When I was over at Santa Monica Boulevard, they came down a block south. They're on Sunset now, traveling westbound. Correct.
Oh my
And the other group was
goodness.
westbound on Santa Monica.
Like, imagine if you're one of the cars that are trying to drive through him. It's like you can't go through until they all walk past. It's like, how long is that
Well,
going
you
to
just
take?
have to go
3
around.
hours?
No, you drive your back up and drive your car around. Or just be like, whatever, I'm stuck. It's a protest.
No, I know. Imagine if there's cars in front of you and behind you, and like they can't figure out what to do because they can't. The cars in front of you can't go
You're like, I'm just gonna park.
until
And then
like
go walk. That's maybe half of these people got stranded. And they're like, forget it, I'm just gonna park my car and then walk with them.
yeah. It's like, you want help? You want to burn my car?
My insurance will pay it out, I'm sure.
That's
Whoa.
oh.
Has it
man.
gotten violent in LA? Do you know?
Yesterday.
Besides arrests, not like arrests, but like were they throwing tear gas?
Oh yeah.
Anything? Oh,
Once curfew starts, there's still
Oh, you have to
protesters
get
out
out.
there,
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
they're gonna use it to disperse the crowds.
yeah, like those cars just have to wait.
That is a lot of people out there.
It's not social distancing.
Yeah, I honestly wonder how many cases will go, because you see the majority of them have their masks on.
But a lot of them have them off their noses and stuff, and they're all
No,
talking to each other. And
I understand, but these are people who are still like conscious enough to like put a mask on when they
mask.
go out. But yeah, they still want to protest.
or they're like, even if I survive COVID, if the police kill me, what's the point?
So that this helicopter came in.
What happened as we open up out of the shot, this portion of the march stopped in the intersection and split off from the other parts. So we have like 4 or 5 different groups, probably 1,000 or more people in each at a lot of the corners. This one, Hollywood and Vine, but at Sunset and Vine, there's a large group there as well. So we understand that they're going to have a wide perimeter, that the protesters who put this all together, if there is a plan, it's for them
Hollywood
to
and
march through
Vine.
Hollywood, have a
They're in
plan.
an intersection. I thought they were in
Yeah.
a mall for a second when it was zoomed in. Also, he said
Oh, they're totally just blocking that
he
whole
said
intersection.
4 to 5 groups of 1,000 each. That's like more than
4,000.
Lord of the Rings had at like Helm's Deep. Like, I think they had like 3,000 or something.
Well, this is for right now.
The Helm's Deep of our life. That's
There's a lot more
crazy.
Of us now. Oh my, that's that. Oh,
This is like a Hong Kong like capacity protests when we see all those people in the streets last year. Like now we're seeing it here. We're just more colorful. Like a rainbow of people in California. That's why they call us a melting pot and we're the cheese. The best part.
Sunset, Jamie, to find the sunset.
Yeah, but
Keep going.
Ooh, Popo.
oh,
A few moments ago. And
here
now
they
they're-
come.
And again, I don't have the information that they have.
The National Guard. You can tell by their cool trucks.
The tan.
Yeah.
What? I don't get why they're standing at certain points. Is it
Right.
so they won't go down those streets?
Well, I think it's so they can make a line and then they can slowly move that line.
like herding cattle.
Mm-hmm.
Is that girl in a bikini? Oh no, it's a fanny pack.
Wow. So this is something I feel like you don't see in Hong Kong is like their National Guard there. Because usually it's still
Do
like
they have a national guard? I mean, Hong Kong's not
maybe. No, I mean the
so big that
not the China. It's not that the Chinese have sent like their military yet.
it seems like they just don't want to go down certain streets or what? Oh, it's so confusing.
Well, you know what it is
What
too.
are they
don't
protecting?
want. They don't want them to come from behind them, so they need to. Because they don't want to get boxed in. Oh my gosh, this is crazy.
They're stopping them from marching a certain way.
Well, maybe
or-
they don't want them to. Maybe there's like a shopping district or something
Oh, that they
here
don't want
because
them
they
to,
got
like,
into the Grove over the weekend. And started looting the Grove. Yeah, Nordstrom. They looted Santa Monica, Long Beach.
Yeah, Venice,
Mm-hmm.
Santa Monica. Oh my gosh. That's a lot of people.
This is like the LA riots we saw, or like from at least like the footage we saw of it. It's really
92.
like in one area and like one weekend. I don't know how long it was. It wasn't that long.
Yeah. it
This
wasn't
is
that
like
long.
like tens, hundreds times bigger, maybe. I mean, it is because it's national, but in Los Angeles alone, it's exponentially bigger. Like, there's so many cops.
Well, they spend a lot of their budget on them.
Yeah, there are more. There are other units standing by to come into this area if they have to. You know, I think the key word is restraint. And the LAPD tries their best to use that. And as long as the crowd doesn't force on them trying to move through these lines, then everything seems to go just fine. But on Saturday over on 3rd Street, we had a line similar to this. And then all of a sudden, everyone started to try and push back the police. And that's when things really made a turn, unfortunately. We don't see that here today so far, though. It seems like those protesters right there aren't agitated. The ones on Saturday at Pan Pacific Park were really agitated, throwing things at the police, pushing the police officers. We see the lines that have been set up today here in Hollywood by the officials, by the National Guard, by the LAPD. They've been observed by the protesters. So that's encouraging so far this afternoon. Everything has been very peaceful, and it doesn't look like anybody's trying to really press the issue.
Yeah, I just threaten them with volume. Just kidding. No, you.
Just guns out and riot gear out is enough.
People are saying it's like, good job to the police for showing restraint, which I guess I agree with because remember that like case a few years back where there was like this guy named Dormer and he was like a cop that like went rogue and they went after him, but then like they shot up this Tacoma, which was just like these women in it. It wasn't even the cop at all. And so, I mean, you know, as far as I've heard, I don't think I've heard of any shootings. I guess they just armed them with rubber bullets.
Well, they were in some places. They do like.
I'm speaking
Like
LAPD
Seattle.
specifically because he's saying the
Oh.
LAPD has shown a lot of restraint, and I'm like, yeah, maybe.
In comparison, maybe.
Well,
to
in
other-
comparison to even their previous track record.
Well, yeah, because now they have to police so many more people. Like there's way.
On Hollywood Boulevard westbound. And one of the reasons maybe
That's highway patrol, though. Oh, they just want them off the freeways.
looking
Yeah, they got on the freeway when these started, and it f's up a lot of traffic. Oh my gosh. Every time I see it, it's like startling.
Well, that's the thing. It's like they have to disrupt status quo. Luckily, status quo, it's like nothing's really normal right now.
Yeah, they have
So
literally no way, like they don't have
can
work tomorrow. They
voice
can do
their
this
opinions.
until a
But I
vaccine is
wonder-
developed.
Yeah.
And unless
But is this a distraction for not letting people vote?
no,
I hope they know, like, there's right now a lot of people that should be out voting.
those are two very important issues that I think they're mutually exclusive. You can know that this is important and voting. But, at the same time, it's like, how far has voting has got us? Like, what have the Democrats done?
I know. But that's the thing. Like, there's still so many people who aren't, though. Like, and yet that's something we have that can't, like, calling the DA office,
Yeah,
of these
and
things
that's
and doing things like that actually makes people move.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least the bureaucracy, you can still write and move legislation.
yeah,
It's
and I think
possible in this country.
that was like, let's listen to this.
I think the LAPD wants people to have the ability to come out and protest. Like, I'm looking at the 101 freeway, and the Gower off-ramp is open. So you could get off on Gower, you could park, and you could join this group. The Highland off-ramp is open. I just think because this crowd and this march of people here has been on Hollywood Boulevard, they just decided to stop that westbound flow in case the crowd gets so big that it blocks traffic altogether. But it's quite phenomenal how many groups we have out here and how big the crowd has gotten. We took a look at it, I think at about, 11:30 or so. It was supposed to start at 12.
It's like, well, are they stopping people from getting to emergency
Then
rooms?
it went to 1,000 in like 15 or 20 minutes, and then it just exploded after that. I had heard a moment ago that the other group that's a little smaller than this one, or one of the other four groups, is on La Brea. Now, we're almost here at Hollywood Boulevard in the 101, so that's a long ways away over to La Brea. That might be a mile and a half or so. So if they're all going to come together, they're certainly going to do a lot of walking. There's no question about that.
Yeah. We should all walk all the way around the city 7 times.
And a lot of
Oh, oops.
Vine, there we have the National
Whew.
Guard standing by. So we do have, if we come back towards us and almost right underneath us, we have that group marching. And then they are being joined by the other group that was on Hollywood Boulevard, headed eastbound towards the 101. So those two may come together. There's 2 more major groups out here. And when they do all get together, it's going to be massive. It's going to be a sea of people in one area. If that does happen, and as I mentioned earlier, we believe the plan for the marchers is to end up at the Hollywood division of the LAPD.
Oh, they just don't want them to burn down the precinct, maybe.
Uh,
Did you see the 3rd precinct in Minneapolis?
Even the
They had
precincts
to-
here were almost broken into.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. And they just got
They would be.
approved.
It would be
didn't
really
they?
difficult to have what you would think of as a big rally in front of the LAPD Hollywood division because it's not that big of a division. It's not like the headquarters in downtown. And there are just streets around it. And when you start talking about having tens of thousands of people possibly all around that division, it's going to be interesting to see how the crowd will interact. Come right down below us, Jamie. Now, this has happened a couple times, and it's really been challenging for law enforcement. You can almost be straight down when you get to the 101 freeway. The crowd from time to time, as we've seen in the past, we'll go back to
gosh.
the entrance of the 101.
Yeah,
Gotten onto the
CHP's been
freeway,
blocking off
and
freeways.
CHP is there. They have several units. They do not want this crowd on the freeway, that is for sure. When that happens, it's dangerous for the motorists, and it's obviously dangerous for the protesters. There's not a lot of traffic on the 101. It's wide open, so people are traveling at a high rate of speed. But right now, at least right underneath us, They have marched by and over the 101, but fortunately not onto it. And then let's just follow this line. We're going to have to break for fuel here in a moment. But come up fairly quickly for me, Jamie, and tilt up. And then when you see the crowd bend around to the right, go ahead and follow that street. So we're on Sunset. Now follow that street all the way to the right, and you see a line of people there. And we're going to follow that all the way up to Hollywood Boulevard. Just keep going, if you would, a little quickly. And then there's Hollywood Boulevard. Now come on down Hollywood Boulevard, and it's just a line of people as far as we can see until we go to the left and follow that row, if you would, until we lose the people along Hollywood Boulevard. So that gives you an idea. That's probably well over a mile of people stacked up, and this is one of 4 groups. So we're getting to the point where we're seeing a size of a crowd like we had, on the Women's Day after Donald Trump was elected president. I don't know if you remember that. But that was one of the biggest crowds I've seen.
We revolt against pussy grabbing.
And that was in downtown, and some of the May Day parades out of MacArthur Park into downtown. This is rivaling that. We're starting to see that many people.
This is rivaling that, and this is growing.
It should.
Well, I mean, it's growing.
We demand change. We demand change. We demand change.
And there's like 4 or 5 of these marches around the city happening right now.
In Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Which is around where we're from.
Ooh.
I mean,
Yeah, because we get
our-
affected by them. But I'm surprised because they didn't have a harsh as curfew that we did. You guys did. We didn't even have that harsh as much as... Because you said you couldn't even go to the store?
Yeah, we had a 6 p.m. curfew yesterday. I was like, oh, okay.
6 p.m. before the sun went down. It's like, how are they so much more strict on curfews now than when we had a freaking pandemic?
Oh, I know. That was the weird thing, right?
Oh, and how... you're going to let protesters block emergency room access and stuff and, make the nurses go out there and have to fight them, but then...
Yeah. When we first started, when the lockdown first started, Target was one of the few places I can go to get stuff. Mm-hmm. And then now that this started, I had to go yesterday to return something, and the entire Target was just closed. And I was like, wow, there's a corporate reaction to this that is fearful, because obviously they have a lot of assets on the ground, but
how swift.
Yeah.
To tell me you couldn't do it, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
You mobilized real quick to fix this problem, and yet 2 months ago you said you didn't have no way of logistically getting stuff here to there, and
because the pandemic was dangerous to just their employees, the protests are actually dangerous to their inventory. One of them makes money. All right. Well, you want to go over the cops beating up protesters clip, or the
I'm just kidding. I mean,
or the crystal ball saying
that's
she
just
was right?
Watching someone. I don't know. Do people
Okay.
like watching that? I mean, but it needs to be brought to light. There's no way we can say it's not just a bad apple type thing. It is a structural, systemic type of problem. Don't you think?
It is, and that's why I think it's important to watch. But I guess let's go into the protesters across America and talk about why we're in the situation we're in. Cristobal goes over it on The Rising, and so
oh yes,
let's react to this.
All right, boys and girls, let's talk about a hot topic right now: the rule of law. The utter breakdown of what you might call the norms and guardrails of society is manifest across the country as outraged rioters take to the streets in every major American city. But let's take a moment to think a little bit harder about that breakdown of civil society and what it actually means. First of all, let's return to a stat that struck Sagar and I a while back, which we brought up many times in this show. Back in the fall of 2019, researchers published the results of a study on the number of Americans who had essentially embraced chaos. According to those researchers, 40% want you just let it all burn.
Nice.
And remember, that was before Bernie's Not Me Us movement was snuffed out, before coronavirus devastated the poor, before the corporate bailouts and mass unemployment, before a new spate of racist murders ignited the entire country in both peaceful protest and in riots.
That's crazy. 40% in fall. So that was before all of the coronavirus and protests and shutdown. So how much more?
But survey of Vice people.
Right, but
Like 40% of what? What was the 100%? Like,
even if you know,
it's
even
like-
if you extrapolate that was a smaller percentage, how much do you think that's increased since then? Because you know
Yes.
because I feel like people already felt uneasy about whatever the situation was, whether it was economic or lockdown, and then we saw the reaction to that with the original lockdown protests, where people were like open it back up because like you know their jobs or their livelihoods were on the line, because they were marginalized in a similar way that the BLM group or the protesters now are marginalized, where they're not being taken care of in a time. Well, they weren't being taken care of before.
It happened for a long time, and no one was listening.
Yeah,
And now it's coming to a head because now it's like it's getting worse and worse. But
those two groups of protesters need to get together because only one of them has the guns.
wait, so the other group is
The Open Up
that's
protesters
why it's
and the Black Lives Matter protesters. Okay, let's keep going.
because one of them has the guns.
So what do those numbers really mean? Well, they should have been flashing red alarm bells for everyone in power, for everyone with anything at stake in this current system, with anything to lose. Because it means that for a large mass of people, this government and all its institutions and our entire society has lost all credibility. And worse, they've lost hope that those institutions can be peaceably reformed through the processes we have. As one citizen explained about our hopelessness in voting for change, I just don't think that's how change happens. They've been telling us to do that for so long, and we've done it. And look at everything that's still going on. Dr. Cornel West put it well on CNN.
But I think we are witnessing America as a failed social experiment. And what I mean by that is that the history of black people for over 200 and some years in America has been looking at America's failure. Its capitalist economy could not generate and deliver in such a way that people could live lives of decency. The nation state, its criminal justice system, its legal system could not generate protection of rights and liberties. And now our culture, of course, is so market driven, everybody for sale, everything for sale. It can't deliver the kind of really real nourishment for soul, for meaning, for purpose. And so when you get this perfect storm of all of these multiple failures at these different levels of the American empire.
That's kind of scary because they were talking about before how a lot of people are unhappy, but they don't think voting can do anything. And then
That means they've lost hope that the system can work because the only reason why I even say let's vote and do it on a local level is because it's like why I had my kids in the States. It's like I still believe because I've seen these discrepancies. It's been decades, and it's like, oh my gosh, we need to change it. We need to change it. Has it been changed? And like I was hoping it had.
But
if that's the case, then it's like, fine, burn it down.
What is that? What does that even look?
That's just anarchy. I'm like, okay, it's painful change. If you're not allowing for a peaceful change, then it's going to be a not peaceful change.
Yeah. Has that ever happened?
Because change must happen.
In America since like the Civil War, where like change was forced, basically.
I mean, it's like the suffragettes who had to like literally riot to get women voting. It's like how the trans black women they had to start riots to get their voices heard and legislation passed and any time, but it was still. But on the other side, there were people who were organizing. There were people who were voting, calling DAs, calling their government officials, calling on senators, like come up and show up, and then they show up and they get like sometimes sprayed in the face, even when they are of authority. And so that's when we're like, okay, then they still represent us. But if we lose hope and they're so distant from us that they no longer represent us, then why vote? Why do anything? Then burn the structure down. Like it's not working. So I would hope that we're not at that point. Like I feel like they're more liberal, like Vice and all that stuff, right?
It seems like it started though when you look at the news and like all these places across the United States are on fire.
Which kind of gives me hope again. Or a little excitement.
Don't look too happy.
I know people are like She's an anarchist.
Let's keep going.
He's exactly right. In spite of its wealth, this country has failed to provide for the economic, spiritual, and dignity needs of its people. And let's be honest, there's seldom been a more obvious and blatant gap between what is right, just, and moral and what the rules and the laws actually are. When you have a corporate and Wall Street looting while millions are pushed onto unemployment, losing their health insurance in the midst of a pandemic, a policy, by the way, that was backed nearly unanimously by both parties, how do you feel then about the rule of law?
Okay, so just unpack that really quick. So what she's saying is we bailed out basically, or the Fed bailed out like the airline industry and all these industries when this pandemic started, just to keep from a financial collapse. We literally just printed $12 trillion.
No, we just pumped up their stocks.
Well, no, but
whatever.
we
their
pumped,
value.
Right.
Yeah, it was digital.
Liquidity into the market, right? So that things wouldn't go
at the top end.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why the stock market has been doing so well. It's because the government has basically communicated them, we're going to take care of you. But Congress, who has the ability to spend money, they've given 1,200 people to everyone. And it's been like 3 months or 3 months, right? Since it started in March.
And people are getting letters from the sheriffs that eviction notices are now going to be
Right.
given out. It's like,
And so-
wait, but we haven't been able to open the economy.
So what she's saying is basically like these bailout packages that have spent trillions of dollars that were voted on unanimously by the Democrats and Republicans basically forced millions
nice
of
speeches,
people,
but none of them spoke out.
Forced 40 million people onto unemployment because the unemployment package and the CARES package was like it was like 40 billion or like 250 billion. It was really small compared to like the trillions that the banks got. Plus unemployment or employment.
Poor people don't know how to handle their money, so don't give them too much.
And then employment being tied to healthcare in the United States means they're all of a sudden out of healthcare.
Afraid to go to the hospital.
They're out of a job. They're out of money. Like they're out of food. You know, you see record-breaking lines at every food bank.
And now the police quite literally run them over like cockroaches.
Yeah, she's basically saying the political apparatus, both the Democrats and the Republicans, set this up.
Yeah, because I was like, really, what have the Democrats done that? I mean, all their votes are like on paper. That's why I'm like, if people understood. Until I had to go and look and how that voting and like how you can, locally affect things that are going on, like,
yeah,
it is slower but it's still action steps. But then I'm like, I get it. Cause some of them, it's way too slow. It's too many lives lost. It's like, how much longer do you wait for progress when it's like, come on, like you said, civil war. That's stuff that should have stomped out a lot of this stuff that's still within our systems. But if we can't vote to change it, then I guess riot to change it.
yeah. Okay, let's keep going because we've still got 4 minutes in this clip.
These rules seem fair? Do they feel like they're evenly applied, like they're designed for your benefit or for your oppression? Or as another example, when you watch the very people who lied us into war and justified torture and instituted programs of illegal mass surveillance never face accountability and, in fact, rehabbed with lucrative gigs as resistance heroes. How do you feel about the rule of law? Or when banksters crash the entire economy, irreparably destroying middle-class wealth and middle-class jobs, especially in Black and Latino communities. We just covered how Goldman Sachs, as punishment for their criminal behavior in the housing crisis, was forced to take on distressed mortgages. They then quickly turned around, figured out how to profit off of them, and kicked thousands of Americans out of their homes. How does that make you feel about the rule of law? Or certainly, when you watch the life of George Floyd casually snuffed down on a street as 3 police officers looked on for the crime of passing a forged $20 bill, how do you feel then about that rule of law? When the rule of law has been so twisted and perverted by elites to their own benefit, when they've constructed a system in which working class citizens are conscripted to oppress and torment other working class citizens under the guise of law and order to protect some and police others, when the looting is codified and justified for the rich and criminalized and racialized for the poor. Are you surprised when such a large mass says, forget about your law and order? If we watch the breakdown we are seeing now occur in another country, we'd say, of course, exactly this outcome unfolding before us in every American city is possible. Maybe it's likely. Maybe it's inevitable.
There are other countries saying that right now.
That doesn't absolve
Just FYI,
anyone
America.
of many of the evil acts that I've seen, plenty of acts of protesters that no one should seek to justify. No matter the system, we are still responsible for our own actions and our own conduct. But this really brings us right to the crux of the matter: what to make of the rioting, of the stealing, property damage, setting buildings and police vehicles on fire? Well, to start with, let's not forget this entire country was founded, at least in our mythology, on a great act of rebellion and property destruction with the Tea Party at Boston Harbor. If you're asking if I believe that there could be moral actors among those using radical tactics, the answer is yes. Yes, I believe that inequality and capitalist exploitation and militarism and ballot choices that really represent no choice at all can lead a moral actor to conclude that property damage and rioting are moral choices. We've been sitting here on this show for months saying, just wait. You've got no idea the kind of pent-up rage which exists. Just wait until the facade of servitude and obsequience cracks. Am I in a position to judge the pure heart, intent, and morality of those involved? Of course not. Those looking for a convenient outside agitators and bad actors narrative are actively ignoring what's staring them right in the face. Some regular people have actually been pushed this far. They actually feel that the peaceful means have been exhausted. Because when a movement is defanged, when you know it poses no real threat, that it's just going to do its little march and go away, frankly, we've all seen what happens. How many damn marches have we had in the past few years?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like,
I've been to peaceful protests, and I'm like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And I'm like, sometimes you can get people to sign bills and whatever. And I'm like, it's so small, and it's so.
So you think from the outside looking in, like if you're another country looking in the United States, you'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. Their citizens were pushed that far. It's like, what choice did they have? Like how we like look at Hong Kong maybe, and we're like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of people here where
and I get accused when I say something like that. I get accused of whataboutisms, and I was like, what does that mean? I don't
yeah,
get that.
because there's I see a lot
mean?
of blaming the protesters as rioters, and it doesn't help a lot of movements like within the protests, but then it helps the overall movement of what other options are there left. You know what I'm saying? And that's why it's like,
well, it's like the whole, okay, really, people said if this was a peace, like the peaceful protest, like Biden, wasn't it? He said he stood by, or Pence said he stood by, but then that football player, the NFL Kaepernick, he knelt in silent protest, in a quiet protest. And that Pence stood up and left, walked out of that and was like, I know, for my country and blah, blah, blah. It's like, not, is it called nationalism?
That's what I'm saying. It's like, they're part of I think what Crystal Ball was outlining when she said like the political apparatus and what we're beginning to see, it's like, and their donors, they're part of a group that has, and they don't really care about anyone else. And that's the kind of the group that's protesting, who have been marginalized either by being black or by being poor. And now they're beginning to all realize they've been marginalized at the same time, but for different reasons.
Oh yeah, everybody.
Right.
It's like they're a big giant, they're the center, and they're just consuming until everybody at the end is just like very. So what I think what
Crystal Ball is saying is like a lot of these people in different marginalized groups have gotten pushed to the point where they have no more options. Like, how else are we going to see change until
the floods come to their doorsteps?
Yeah, and it's like you're not really like a threatening snake if you have no teeth.
Oh yeah.
I think is like kind of the example that she was like creating. So, all right, we got a minute left. Let's finish this clip.
Ross Douthat writes about studies which show riots lead to more votes for Republicans than Democrats. Maybe people aren't really measuring progress by how many Democrats we elect anymore. After all, Black Lives Matter began under a Democratic president, and our nation's first black president at that. We also shouldn't sanitize the bloody civil rights era. As my former colleague, Professor Melissa Harris Perry, points out, the civil rights movement was not nonviolent. Black protesters used strategies of nonviolent direct action, and at every point they were met with brutal white supremacist state violence and death. That ish was not peaceful. It was painful, bloody, horrific.
I know. I think
people don't realize how,
especially me, because I'm younger and I haven't seen many protests. I haven't been. A lot of civil rights stuff has been whitewashed for me because I don't know about. Like, I know about some of the state violence and death, but I'm sure it was very painful, bloody, and horrific.
Well, that's why I'm saying you and me we were raised in a very white and Oma and Appa did a good job at trying to get us into the rich neighborhoods because they're like, that's the best education, and so they tried really hard to do that. And so we were educated, I think, in that same way. So our history is obviously not going to give too much light on this. Like if you meet people who are Black Americans, they have to look for their own history, almost like if we would want to look for our Korean history.
Yeah, or like Native American.
Even though it's very much American. Yeah, it's not like they have to go anywhere. It's a part of our rich history that we need to recognize at the same time. But
well, and then
it's always painted in a nicer way so that we don't do something like...
Where she said that the civil rights movement was not nonviolent. I wonder, because I think what we're entering now is more like a class rights movement. It's like, because it encompasses, it used to be like the majority of poor people.
Which I think if it was originally, it could have been defeated. If we could have recognized it back then.
Yeah, but I think the issue back then was the majority of poor people were like immigrants.
Oh.
And so no one cared.
We couldn't even read. We're just like barely.
Yeah, now
treading water.
Now there's poor people of all color. And so.
Yeah, and then not only that, generations of us have been educated here.
Yeah.
And so we understand more of that history of the Black American culture and like what they're trying to say. Even if we weren't taught that earlier, we kind of are just like, wait, but we've kind of seen the discrepancies and the outcomes of what you're saying. You know what I mean? Like we all recognize that racial profiling and all that, right? But
yeah,
that means we have to recognize something needs to be changed.
No, and so I wonder what the non-violent is going to look like, because our I guess class rights movement has just started really with
I don't know
thousands.
How are we gonna go to war with do you see how they're suited up?
There's still thousands of people out there and it's growing. I don't know, I'm interested to see because all of the people out there have nowhere to go. Well, the protesters just have to outnumber their bullets.
What? I was like, okay, well.
All right, we got 30 seconds left. Let's finish this clip.
And we can't forget, too, that in addition that the success of the nonviolence of the civil rights movement did not occur without the context of the ominous threat of an alternative approach. I don't know that seeing these riots as a movement, frankly, though, is quite the right way to think of them. There's no leader. There's no list of demands other than to actually recognize the worth and humanity of all, which is a radical and revolutionary demand indeed. It's a visceral howl of rage, and it is a message that we should listen to. We see through your corrupt rule of law, and your normal tools of control aren't going to work any longer.
Inciting revolution.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, you remember the Occupy Wall Street movement, and what she said was there's no clear leader, there's no real clear goal. And
good, then they can't just kill us. I mean, shoot the head.
Well, I know, but then it's like, at that point, what's actually accomplishable then? Other than just
let them start throwing out their negotiations on what they want to give. Better start giving something. $1,200 isn't cutting it. You show that you can give something and do it quick.
Who was
so
it?
Do it quick, whatever. Like, you start the negotiations.
Was it Roosevelt who said you have to give him something or else they'll take everything?
Yeah, like, fine. If you're not going to start with like making it more livable, then we want to live like you. I want your yacht. I want your plane. I want your... I'm just kidding.
Okay, so I wanted to go over this clip, but I wanted to first preface it by saying I think there are good cops. No, I know there are good cops because I don't think you could... that job is very difficult.
Yes. And originally they were if you look at the original reasons for why we needed policing, it's like they're good social and community reasons. It's just somehow it got warped. Well, no, and people who just follow the system might not understand it, and so then they become infected by a way of thinking that's not healthy for the community. But there's others that very much stick to what they feel a police their duty is, and I think it's difficult.
Well, the issue is also that their definition of duty is very forgivable by the law. So there's a lot of behavior that a lot of cops would look at as disturbing.
That's the shift.
Right.
That's the shift that happened because they are law enforcement officers, and that's been ingrained because the shift in legislation and laws and whatnot, they're not purposely trying to be a bad guy, but if they just follow that without seeing that it's not good for the community within which they're trying to serve, then...
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's I know there are individual good cops, but the system has changed where it allowed this behavior to exist as well.
Yes,
And
because
so,
now you're getting mob behavior from them.
So so that was a huge intro, but I wanted to go over these clips because basically, like, if you're protesting in the streets, even if you're protesting peacefully, you might run into a cop that has, been used to really bad behavior, and it's really disturbing to see.
Or they've been like pumped up to be like, these are rioters.
Yeah.
And so they're already
dangerous to them.
Yeah, they're
a
already
threat.
looking for a fight. Sometimes. If you hear some of the pep talks,
Yeah, sure.
it's like, whoa, you're like getting them all riled up for war. You're supposed to be there to make sure nothing goes out of line. But
Right. So Jimmy Dore covers some clips, and he's a lot more anti-cop than we are, I would say. But he has like a brother and some family members that are cops.
he probably fights with them and thinks they're too conservative and
But
whatever.
yeah, but he has family members that are cops, and he even tried to become a cop, and so I think he kind of understands that culture a little more, because I don't know anyone that's a cop. So I want to. So I think his point of view is interesting. So let's react to this clip.
So this is in. We were told where this is in Brooklyn.
I thought so.
So this is NYPD anyway. I don't know exactly where this is in New York City, but so then these people stop. So you figure the cops like, all right, you got me.
So what's the big deal? They're all there.
You
What's
silly
the big
people.
deal? It's daylight.
And so this guy pulls up and he's like, no, look, I have to get home. I really have to go home. And that guy goes, me too. And then this guy goes, fuck it.
That's not funny.
That's shocking, no? This is pretty.
Why
I think it's sometimes people see
is
shocking things and they laugh. So
This-
I know you're saying it's not funny, but it's just like, whoa, was he supposed to reverse? What is he doing? And then
Yeah.
it's like, no, he gunned it even her to get it around.
If that was like a Hong Kong cop or Chinese cop, and those were like Hong Kong protesters,
We'd be crying.
we'd
Human
be
rights.
like, they don't see them as human. This is the issue.
You're stomping out cockroaches.
But yeah, so it's
Shocking. How is this not? Oh, I'm sorry. That's another video. I accidentally went to another video of cops beating the shit out of someone in unison. Remember this
So these
video?
cops, they grab that
start
guy.
and then they grab him, throw him to the other guys. They'll start beating the shit out of him, and we'll stop anyone who sees us doing it.
Well, because if one
And so
cop
here
gets
they
out,
just
he
decide
can
to run over
get
people.
like beat the
You think
shit
I'm
out
kidding?
of.
So watch this. These are people.
Still.
These are
Push that
someone's
guy
kids.
Yeah,
These
it's
are
like,
mostly
don't
young
bring
people.
'em in
These are
like
someone's
an
kids
amoeba.
or whatever, and they're in his SUV.
And
they're
if
like,
you're in a
"Fuck it,
car,
we're gonna
just
run you
back
over."
up.
Like he could easily
They're not
turn
behind
around.
you.
It
Like-
doesn't look like anybody's assaulting them. Are you? This guy's like, fuck it. I gotta go, and he just starts running people.
And it's
over.
like a 6 lanes. Like, really? You can't turn
Yeah.
around?
That's a 2-ton vehicle.
Or just wait for reinforcements? I thought they came to reinforce and maybe move a line slowly.
Yeah.
You know, there's like logical ways of doing this. You can herd people like you herd cattle. Like, they can't like all of a sudden fly away.
also,
But instead of doing that, they're just not, and they can communicate. You know, those cops can communicate.
yeah, I know. They're in fully loaded cars.
What do you do? Just run them over. No, I dare you. Like, what happened?
Okay. I think he explains it.
Oh, okay.
look at he just. I
Oh,
don't
he's
give
just
a
trying to
shit.
get me mad
Look at him.
at cops.
No, and the
This
point
guy
of this
just-
isn't to be mad at comps, but to be aware of the behavior that some of them are used
Yes.
to. Because you can't.
Because you have to believe when people say that cops act like this on the
Yeah,
daily.
You can't
When-
safely
that's why-
protest if you understand that it's like, oh, you can get run over and no one's going to prosecute them.
Yeah, you might get sued. People have gotten sued for
Yeah.
cops running reds and accidentally hitting them,
Mm-hmm.
even though totally at their fault, and they'll be like, they sue you for the car damage. It's
Yeah,
like
so all the-
ridiculous. Like, what?
All the black people watching this are like, duh.
Yeah,
But
they're
yeah,
like,
we're
we've been
catching
telling you
up.
about this for decades.
We're trying to catch up and inform, so forgive us.
I know. It's like,
Okay, let's go.
this is real, guys.
It is. Look at like this. Yeah.
He just-
Real.
So when George Carlin, they're there to protect the oligarchs. They're not there to serve you. And even if the cops don't know it, that's what they're there for. That's why they pick the dumbest people possible. If you're too smart, they get rid of you.
His words,
I
not
took
ours.
the police.
Yeah,
in
now he's
Chicago.
now he's being now
You know
there's
they
a chip
never
on
gave
his
me my
shoulder.
score.
He's saying I took the test and they never gave me my score.
So he thinks he was too
Anyway,
smart, but
'cause
it's
they
like,
had to
well,
weed out as
maybe.
many
maybe too low.
Some people got through with high scores, I'm sure. Some people got through.
Maybe you had too many drugs in your system. Oh, wait, just
Anyway,
kidding.
that's
They wouldn't kick you out
remarkable.
for that. Wait, would they?
That is, so what this is called, so I don't know if you know what this is called, and I'm going to tell you what this is
I
called.
don't.
Okay, so if you watch this, there's a name for this.
That behavior?
And it's the same thing that happened in the Minneapolis murder of. Here we go.
George
Ready?
Floyd.
So here he comes. So when this guy does this and then
say
that
his
guy
name.
does that. So what this is called, because he knows this is going to injure people and maybe even kill some people. They both know it. So what that's called is depraved indifference.
Yeah, because legally, if you hit a cop with your car, it's like assault with a
Yeah, it's
deadly
like hitting-
weapon.
it's like hitting-
assault with a deadly weapon.
It's like hitting a cop horse.
So they
Depraved.
know by law what that means, but they know by law that they're like above it according to who they're.
So what does depraved mean? Is that just you have none? Depraved?
Oh, I don't know. Wait, what did you
Because
call them? What did you-
depraved indifference.
Oh,
And so it's just they're just completely without any care about what happens to the people that they're around.
it makes someone immoral or wicked.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. Remember the Stanford prison experiment? Anyways, okay, let's keep going.
Their mind is depraved.
I knew I
These
should have
guys
gotten
who the
my
state have given a
licenses.
gun
Guns.
and a monopoly on violence, meaning they're allowed to violate you physically and inflict violence on you with no repercussions, and other people on the street won't do anything. You have been given a monopoly on violence, and they have depraved indifference. They prefer those kind of people. Watch this.
But
This
how
happened just
come?
here.
Okay, real question though. How come this wasn't happening when these kinds of protests were happening for opening the economy?
I don't know.
We just saw that news. It looked like this, but the police weren't
Maybe there's a volume
at
thing. There's
all
just a
acting
lot-
like this.
There's just a lot more people, and these.
Oh.
These are easily like 10 times bigger.
They
more.
said that other one was the size of the women's protests against Trump.
Yeah, but that's
Dude, they didn't get shut
that's
up.
like. But this is happening all over too. There's like Chicago,
and
New
then
York.
I know LA's a little bit traumatized from the 92 riots.
So let's keep going. So that was in New York, and it seems like we see very similar behavior here in LA. Let's take a look.
Los Angeles today. Watch this. So it's very low. You can't hear it.
Assembly. That happened around 1 o'clock.
So just watch this cop.
That has been deemed an unlawful assembly. That
And if you can hear the news person, watch how blasé she is about what's happening right in front of her eyes.
part of the
There's a cop
media.
running people down in the middle
It's
of
called
the
a
street.
narrative. Stick to it, Jimmy.
around that has been deemed an unlawful assembly. That happened around 1 o'clock because there was some verbal arguing.
That's how the cops think.
He's trying to run
Unlawful.
people. He's
So
trying
I
to run
can be
people
like
over
GTA
both
5.
ways. He ran.
Run them over. Points for knocking over as many protests. Unlawful groupers as I can. I get 5 points each.
Yeah, he hit someone forward,
And
knocked
he
him over, and then he
backed
tried
up
to
and
go
did a
over
donut.
another guy. And thank
Yeah.
God that guy ran the correct way, or else he would have.
And then his supervisor's like, "You shithead, you're on TV.
Yeah.
Stop trying to run people over. We can see your number."
Over, and then he
Get under a
floored it
building.
backwards, trying to run over that person behind him, and he missed. But he was trying.
We saw it.
Some arrests as well. Okay, and now let's pull it back to Santa Monica.
There you go, 485.
Cop car
Whatever.
there, getting items thrown at it. And
We saw that cop car getting items thrown at it. You didn't see the cops run over the people, though? No. Isn't that amazing? She totally missed that part. Cop car's getting stuff thrown at it. But the cop
That's
didn't
why
just
she
run
does
over
real
people.
news, Jimmy.
around there, and that has been deemed an unlawful assembly. That happened around 1 o'clock because there was some verbal arguing. People were blocking traffic.
And this is
There's
just
been
the thing the helicopter caught. It's like, how many more incidences are just on like people's
here's
phones?
another version of that.
Oh, like this
you only
one.
Get to
Oh,
see,
it's same incident.
The cop actually hit like 3 people. You only see one guy fall underneath the car. But on the other guys, people go flying. You don't see them. Here we go.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Did that guy's foot go under?
Almost. Look at
You
how
want to see it again?
Oh.
Well, but look how far he has to drive to even.
Yeah, he's
like,
definitely
get to
under the
that guy.
front of that thing. And
That
usually they
close-
have
that cop couldn't care less about those.
they
but-
have enforcements on their cars, on
He
their
has
SUVs that are
depraved
like, I don't know.
indifference.
Oh, Jimmy, people are saying that these cops
Depraved.
are afraid for their own lives.
So
That's
if-
why they're behaving like this, Jim.
So if you're a cop and you're afraid for your own life to the point where you're going to start running people over, you need to quit.
Okay, but also the New York one you can kind of understand because there are a bunch of people on the front of that guy's
Oh,
car.
they were throwing things. Something
Right.
was thrown on top, and he couldn't,
But if you look at the distance between this and the guy that he hits isn't even in the frame, like he has to drive that far.
yeah, he probably said back up, back up, back up. They didn't back up, and so he hit the gas. That's what it looked like. Because they
Anyways,
have
yeah.
intercoms.
I
They
know.
they're all equipped. People keep forgetting. It's like, so that's why I'm like, yeah, he probably got told to stop doing that because we can see you. You're on the news live.
He was
Aw,
afraid.
darn.
He was afraid for his life.
For his job. Like,
So he took a 2-ton vehicle versus like 200-pound man
5
max.
people?
But yeah,
5 people.
three people, 5
The
people.
cop's job is to make sure those people are safe. That's his job. His job is to make sure I get home safe, not him. I know cops like to say that.
Can we
Cops'
pause?
number one job is to
What about one of the demands be every one of these crooked cops that have been caught now on video on these protests acting like this, ask each of the cities what they're going to do now. How are they going to reprimand? And start with that.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the core issues is that the behavior goes unpunished. And so
And
it's
so
like
they
what-
feel like they have a right, and that's
Yeah.
how they're going to enforce what they need to get done.
What
they feel like.
incentive is there to change if there's no punishment? It's true.
make sure he gets home safe at night. That's not a cop's job. The cops have monopoly on violence and they get to carry guns because they're supposed to put their life in harm's way. They're supposed to get in between a bullet and me. They're supposed to protect me.
Another thing is, you know how you said you don't know actual cops? I do know cops, and like the ones that have made a career out of it, they're good people. Like,
Yeah.
they're very the characteristic that I feel makes like a really awesome cop is gentleness, like strength under control, like which is what like, and they're very But there's like a gentleness and a charisma usually with those good cops. I don't know any bad cops really. I mean, like, I probably wouldn't associate with them in my communities, like.
Right.
But
you
to do this, I would hope I would never catch any of them doing something like that.
No, absolutely. And the point isn't to paint all cops as this. It's to, if you're a
Correct the
protester.
system.
No, I mean, if you're a
that's allowing
protester and
this.
you're going out, you have to understand this behavior exists. Not
Yes, because
so-
you're protesting police brutality.
Right,
So,
the-
be
so the
careful.
good cops, that are out there, they're still out there. But then the bad cops are out there too, and they're doing stuff like this, but everywhere.
Oh yeah, so I have taken the kids to protests or marches and stuff. On these ones, I'm like, I would recommend no one take your kids because this is about, if it's about police brutality and they are armed the way they are, and we have police evidence of the stuff they do, then don't think it's a peaceful march.
Yeah, and they're even more bold in their cars. I feel like even if you have police evidence,
They're more
they're
bold
still
when
gonna
they're lined up the way they are.
just gonna run you over.
They are armed to the T. They've got communication. They know, these aren't accidents or whatever. Like, him running away might.
All right, we got a minute 30 left. Let's finish this.
Okay.
I'm supposed to get home safe at night, not the cop. He's
Everyone's
supposed to
supposed to get
risk
home
his
safe.
life.
Why isn't that a hit and run?
That is a hit and run. That cop just committed a
We don't live in the
felony.
Wild West.
They're criminals. That's a
that one
felony.
is.
You can't do that.
Neither of us should
I don't
be
care
out
how
to kill
fucking
each
scared
other.
you are.
What is this?
And that's why you're supposed to be a cop, because you're not supposed to be a scaredy cat little pussy. You're supposed to be able to meet the moment. That's why you have training. That's why you're given a baton and you can hit people with it. That's why you're given a gun and you can shoot people with it. That's why you're given a badge. That's why you have a bulletproof vest on. That's why you're given protection from the courts and the prosecution, so you can do whatever the fuck you want. And if you're still scared, you need to get another job, pussy.
And
Again, Jimmy
who do
Dore's
the
words,
cops
not ours.
actually work
Oh no,
for?
I know some female cops, and they are very also very brave, very gentle too. They won't they carry guns with them, but they don't flash it. You know?
And you know what? Yeah, you know what he says about you have a gun, you have a badge, you have a taser, you have a vest, you have a baton, and it's like you shouldn't be using your car to mow down these people.
Yeah, why are you fearing for your life? You have come to get a lot of backup.
You're fearing for your life in a way where you're treating people like zombies.
No, but I'm like,
You know what I mean?
really? We saw the protest about opening the economy with armed white people who were suited up like the police, and the police didn't just shoot them.
I know, and so it's like, do the cops see these protesters as different? Because the media somehow portrays them as different. Okay, let's keep going with this because I want to make it to the next 420.
Oh yes,
Actually
We
work
got the
for.
next 420. Okay.
Cops work for the oligarchs. They don't work for you. If they did, would they be running you over? Cops don't work for you. Cops work for oligarchs. Look into the history of policing. They started off
Maybe.
as cops to patrol slaves. It was all about whites. It is.
Oppression.
Cops, the policing, there's theories of policing. And the theory we use in America is that the cop needs to come home safe. He can brutalize anybody he fucking wants and to fear everybody. The citizen is there to
Yeah,
be feared
why
as an
are they at
enemy, a
war with
potential
their
killer,
people?
not as someone I'm supposed to serve.
Yep. Those policing in America. All right, we're at 420.
Was
and
that
5,
done?
4. Yes. 3, 2.
Yay,
Happy
this is our
420 in the West Coast. If you live in the West Coast, happy 420, y'all.
To all the LA protesters that got run over. I
Happy
hope you
420.
get compensated and with lots of good weed.
Remember, cannabis is a coronavirus preventative prophylactis, and so 73% prevents coronavirus infections. Canadian study,
No.
look it up. We also did a
You're
video.
sounding like Trump now.
I don't know. Try it. Hydroxychloroquine weed. So yeah,
It won't give you heart arrhythmias
smoking weed's
or
healthy.
cause blindness by accumulation of plaque on your optic nerve. So smoke weed over hydroxychloroquine, that's for sure.
All right, so we try to end every episode on a high note, and obviously wherever you are, hopefully you're safe, especially if you're in America.
I know.
And so now that we have coronavirus, everything's closed, we have record-breaking deliveries. Do you ever wonder why your deliveries are late?
Goof off. I'm just
Kind of. So Conan explains it at
If
delivery.
porn has taught me anything,
How much do you learn from porn?
I'm an American.
50%.
I'm standing here with Marty Perricone. You're the business manager here at UPS.
Yes, I am.
Marty, it has been my lifelong dream to drive the truck for UPS, deliver packages. And when I say lifelong dream, I mean around 8 o'clock last night. I said this would be a fun idea. Let's get inside.
He's so, lanky.
He's
He look-
tall.
He looks like
He's
Woody.
a dancer.
Come out of these trailers over here that you see off to your right. These number sequences will identify where every package goes.
Okay, can I just keep this for myself?
No,
Can I take this one home?
I don't think so. Someone might be waiting for that one.
Can I have that one?
I think that one will probably go to a Secaucus today.
This one's red. Can I have the red one? This is actually one of the...
He just explained how packages go missing.
Oh,
Someone's like, this looks nice. I'm just kidding. Kind of.
but they know everyone who's in the vicinity, who's handling your package. The package is tracked, so it's not like it's ever in a spot where.
I don't know. Packages go missing, but sure.
Yeah.
There's screw ups all the time. Sometimes people on Reddit, they order like one thing and they get 9 of it. But that's something else. Okay,
I
let's
know.
keep going.
I've gotten a scanner before. in the box. I'm like, oh my gosh, he dropped his scanner. I wonder what he was like. He was looking for it and couldn't go and open up all the boxes. I was like, oh my, I should return it. But then it might tell them because it has the ID and stuff.
It's
Who
like, you
it
messed up.
is,
He's
yeah.
like, no, I swear it got stolen. That person who stole it returned it. Weird thief.
Here, we call them package cars, Conan.
Pardon me?
We call them package cars.
It's a truck.
It's a package car.
Truck. You take the package, you pull it back. Now this is one's heavy. What do? Do I keep the knees bent?
Yes, you want to keep the package within your power zone.
All right. My package is in my power zone.
Step up using the up.
Huh?
It would not be the proper way, Conan, to ascend into a UPS vehicle.
What are you talking about?
We use a 3-point of contact. All right? Our handrail is here.
Okay.
Want to have 1 foot down, 1 foot up. Always using 3 points of
I
contact.
wonder if that's like for insurance.
Boring.
Yes,
Okay, so
yes.
three-point
He has to have a
contact.
safety,
Check this out, I think I got it.
In their
whatever
like,
before
SOP.
he can start driving. Yeah.
Band, right? And then
Well, also if the driver gets hurt, they can be
around
like, "Did you use
this.
3 points
And
of
to leave the
contact?"
vehicle, grab here, down, out, down.
Ooh,
Turn the
that
car
dismount
inside,
looks very
like
expensive.
this.
Yes, we will. Rob's going to take us through a little
his height.
training
He was a
course here.
professional dancer.
He was?
Beginning ignition of UPS vehicle. I'm headed off in a leftward direction.
Oh, that looks so fun to drive.
Tap on the horn.
That's so loud. I remember. Okay, it's supposed to be loud.
I'm coming back, baby!
You might,
I want him to deliver my weed.
Remember, we gave him weed. You gave him weed, our weed.
I did.
that was definitely another time.
I wish I had a picture.
He said he had to give it to his
Assistant. Yeah,
because
Sona. I should.
we're like, did you get it?
That went well.
Or did the package go missing?
Conan treats these cones like cops treat protesters.
When I address you, you say, sir, yes, sir. Is that clear? Yes, sir, yes, sir. We are UPS, is that right? Yes, sir. It is sir, yes, sir, not yes, sir. Say, sir, yes, sir. Sir, yes, sir. Now, we lost 5 good men yesterday. They went into Weehawken, they didn't come out. We don't know what happened to them. Be careful at all times.
I'm going to introduce you to Frank Messino, who's going to be your driver trainer out on road, okay?
Very good. So, Frank, this is your truck right here. This is your baby.
This is my baby.
Okay, well, do you have a nickname for this truck?
Yeah, I call her Big Brown.
Big Brown? Big Brown is your lady?
Yeah.
You know what
Big
I call
Brown,
this truck?
but
My
they're
nickname
all-
for her?
What is it?
Good old 575948. I don't know, it just came to me.
It's really heavy. What you want to do is you want to grab opposite corners.
I know,
Right.
everything
This
at
corner,
UPS
you
is
can grab this
brown.
corner, You're going to keep it close to you so you don't
Crazy.
hurt your back,
It's almost
okay? And then
insane.
smooth
Only an
close
insane
to you.
person would do
Lift it
that.
up and keep it close.
Maybe they were colorblind and they were tired of
Yeah.
being made fun of for not seeing the difference between the logos and whatnot. He's like,
Yeah, they're like, I don't care.
golden brown.
Yeah, whatever
Golden
brown.
brown.
Saves us the
You get
most
lonely
money.
out there in the old rig?
Oh, yeah.
These retired Boy Scouts uniforms.
Not too often.
Sure.
Every now and then you just start crying.
Once in a while you break down. Got too many packages.
That's too many packages all the time. I can't wear brown every day. Oh my God. I can't wear brown every day. UPS shirt, UPS pants. Check this out.
Was this the guy he went on the...
Oh. I thought maybe I'd wear this.
The ladies. So what do you say, Frank?
Hi, Conan, we got a full load. You ready to rock and roll?
Pretty much, yeah. Let me just do one thing. Okay?
See, that's a huge improvement because it's the only thing on there that's not brown. Oh, the red, I guess.
Yeah, the red.
We got a delivery for you this morning.
Yes, sir.
What you got there in the box?
I don't know.
I don't even open the box. What if it's something weird?
This is so exciting. This is what is it? What is it? What is it? What is it?
He's like,
He's like, I didn't want to open this at home.
yeah.
Supplies, that's all.
That's it.
Tape and supplies.
Weed suppositories.
It's the Christmas ever.
We need to make some
Got a delivery out on the dock.
and
here?
try them.
Hey, how are you? Okay, keep stack me up. Where am I going?
Sometimes they use this. There you go.
He's like the Jackie Chan of jokes. You can like add whatever you give to him. It's like, I'll use this.
Check for that delivery, actually.
So we need a check for this?
We date this for July 28th.
What is it, July 28th?
July 28th.
Because they always lose your
Today's
package.
date on
Has to have today's date.
Yeah,
Those
we
are
know
the
why now.
rules.
Go here.
I don't make the rules.
UPS.
I don't make the
We
rules.
don't make them.
COD is, yeah, cash on
Getting
delivery.
186.65 here. That's cash on delivery.
We were actually,
No check. Package goes back to the warehouse.
The lady's looking at it like, oh my
UPS,
god.
sir. Let's see. We got 2 packages for you here. Do you mind if I use your bathroom? Is that okay?
not at all.
What is that bag? Is that mace for like dogs or something?
No, that's his microphone.
Someone's like,
Yeah, step 1, don't let the UPS guy in your house. I'm just kidding. I'm sure they're nice. But don't let Conan into your house.
UPS. How many times do you say UPS?
at least you
before
can throw it away.
Usually once or twice.
We just leave it here?
Nah, let's leave it at the side door.
You guys leave it on the side?
Yeah, it's safer.
Hey, check it out.
There's a lot.
Do they make fences specifically for tall people? He got over that pretty easily.
Check this out.
like, why even have a
Yeah,
fence?
I can't. Oh my gosh! Because it has to be a minimum fence around the pool in LA.
Yeah. I guess it's meant for kids, not for Conan.
Sweet, Frank. Frank, come in. It's great. Frank!
We got too many deliveries
Frank
left.
is perfect. Frank, jump in the pool. Frank, jump in the Well, I learned a lot. And I want to thank Frank and everyone at UPS for letting me tag along. You're a good man.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
Best delivery day of the year.
What's happening here?
Whoa.
You made a new friend, Conan.
UPS guys are friendly.
That was an accident.
You just your last package delivery of the day. Had a good time, Frank. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Back to you, Conan.
Conan, so great. Still relevant all these years.
Because he still lives there, right?
There?
How could in
No,
LA?
he moved. Yeah, but he moved from New York when he did his when he switched from the Late Show to the Tonight Show, and then he stayed in LA. Mm-hmm. So it's like it.
He seemed to like it slow down. The slow down. I feel like people feel like LA slows down a little compared to like big city LA or even
New York City.
I mean New York. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
I've never lived in any big cities, so I'm not sure. So LA is always compared to me for Orange County been like really like that's a city. It's like, oh, people are like, that's not really
Yeah. I mean, I visited New York once and like for like a week, but I could definitely tell it's like, oh wow, this is a much faster city.
Oh yeah, I was there for what 7-8 weeks once.
It's a good amount of time.
With Myrna, yeah, I walked and figured out their transit system. I was like, wow, this is unique. But there's a lot more people, like way more people. So that's why I was like, oh my gosh, how are they not going crazy on the lockdown?
Yeah, I know. Anyways, we're going to keep bringing you guys content. Also, we're working on video game content to try to expand in our repertoire of original content. It gives, people something more to watch. If you guys have video game suggestions, we're open to it. We're looking at Minecraft for kids, and then maybe Left 4 Dead 2. Not Left 4 Dead 2. Last of Us 2.
There's something that Gus plays, and it's pretty like it's like a fighting. But it's funny because he screams and stuff. But he wants to play. Like he gets that he has to do certain goals. Mm-hmm. He likes that, and then
so the kids one,
but it's kind of violent. So I don't know if we would be able to say
the kids one. They can play whatever they want to play. It's more for the adult ones because we have to fill up a segment. And so if you guys have suggestions, we're open. We're really looking forward to Cyberpunk 2077 and
2077 was
Last of Us 2. It's like it's like, did you watch the movie Blade Runner? It's like Blade Runner but a video game. Well, super cool. Anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We might change our time slot because we got a lot more live viewers this time.
Because this is our 4:20 time, but it's just hotter. Whew.
I know,
isn't it?
I don't know. Oh yeah, it is actually hotter. All right.
The sun's been cooking us.
Anyways, stay safe wherever you are. Remember to smoke your cannabis prophylaxis.
COVID-19 prophylaxis.
COVID-19 prophylaxis. Prevention medicine.
It reduces the amount of receptors in your, I don't know if it's the actual alveoli, like the epithelial cells within your lungs, the receptors for the virus to come into the cells to replicate, but it's supposed to reduce the percentage you remember, that, not infection rate.
Got it. Well, whatever. If you have weed, smoke it. And if you don't have buds, wear your buds. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
Bye.